We want to welcome you tonight to SoulCollage, and I'm going to start us off with a Mary Oliver poem. And it's a poem about how the spirit needs matter really to come alive. So it needs our bodies. And since we're going to be talking about image tonight, it needs image. It needs our imaginations for us to know it. So let's hear what Mary Oliver has to say about this. The spirit likes to dress up like this: 10 fingers, 10 toes, shoulders, and all the rest. At night, in the black branches, in the morning, in the blue branches of the world. It could float, of course, but would rather plumb rough matter. Airy and shapeless thing, it needs the metaphor of the body. Lime and appetite, the oceanic fluids. It needs the body's world, instinct, and imagination, and the dark hug of time, sweetness and tangibility, to be understood, to be more than pure light that burns where no one is. So it enters us in the morning, shines from brute comfort like a stitch of lightning, and at night lights up the deep and wondrous drownings of the body like a star. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about images before I turn it over to Sushmita for our SoulCollage exercise. We tend to think of our lives as divided between we have our daytime lives and we have our nighttime lives. And our daytime lives we think of as, well, they're pretty ego driven. You know, we know what we want to do. We know what we know in the daytime, and we rely on our senses to navigate the world. So it's largely a world of what we perceive to be our sight, what we see, what we hear, what we perceive. And then we have the world at night, where we know that there's a different flavor to our experience. It's filled with image. The night is filled with imagination, and in some sense, it's a bit broader of an experience maybe than we have during the day. But what I want to say tonight is that a truly remarkable fact of our lives, an amazing fact, is that those worlds are actually mixed together. And it's more like there are two parallel worlds that run side by side all the time. It doesn't matter what we call that imaginal world. We can call it the imaginal world. We can call it the unconscious. We can call it the dream world. We meet this parallel world both on the inside and outside of ourselves, in the outer world, in nature and matter. And it's always and everywhere present. There's an image-making function in us that's a part of us that sees and knows beyond our senses. It takes in the world in a broader, wider range. And the defining characteristic of this image-making function in us is intelligence. It simply knows more, sees more than our conscious selves, our smaller selves. When our mind-body system creates an image, whether it's at night in our dreams or whether it's during the day, because if we find during the day, we might even be busy just going about doing whatever we're doing, but if we slow down and we're just to scratch the surface of that veneer, we would find there are images at play in us. And then it's just a matter of how to access those images. But we would also find that these aren't just any images, just random images that are popping up in us, but that our mind body systems have a certain wisdom in this image making capacity, so that the image that comes up really has been curated for us. And again, it's just a matter of sometimes slowing down to notice what's there and what's going on. And these images are designed to lead us to health and wholeness. In SoulCollage, we've had the images. Some images have already been picked for us. So our mind body system is not creating the image, but we're being presented with images and we respond to them in the same way. So in SoulCollage, we're invited, our souls are invited to play with images. We will be drawn naturally to the particular images that we need to hear from at this moment in time. And ideally, at the moment we're drawn to an image, we won't know why. And that's an important fact, because that's a clue that something else in us is choosing, that we're not directing it or consciously directing the choosing. The invitation is to relax and play. Rather than trying to direct the process, we follow whatever energy is naturally arising in us, and then we listen. The fact of this imaginative, unconscious realm provides a context of meaning for our lives. Life is bigger than us. We are participants in the dance, the meeting place between what we know and what we don't know. Let me say that last line again. We're participants in the dance, the meeting place between what we know and what we don't know. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Sushmita to lead us in our SoulCollage.
Thank you, Darby. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And in case I forget later, I want to say now that in addition to me and Darby, there's another person in this room, and that is David Renata. And he is somebody who's working behind the scenes to make this Zoom experience possible for us. And you'll see a video later, and he's the one who's put together the video, put the music on it, the right fading, the right sound volume. There's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. So I want to shout out to David, our wizard in the house. Okay, so on that note, let's get to SoulCollage. So just as Darby said, because we have only an hour, we decided that we're not actually going to make SoulCollage cards during this time, but we'll talk a little bit about what is SoulCollage, why we do it. And then I've chosen 4 cards that are my cards, and hopefully they have very different energies. So you'll be invited to pick one of them, and we'll talk about what you're going to do with them. So first, I want to say that SoulCollage is one of my own central practices. I pick a SoulCollage card every morning, and it's kind of like, okay, this is the energy that's going to guide me through this day. And there's also sometimes I do deeper divination work with SoulCollage, and we'll talk about that also in a moment. Also, when I do spiritual counseling, often, not always, but often I would invite people to make SoulCollage cards, especially when an image is fuzzy, it's hazy, there's a feeling, but there's no words around it. Those are great places for doing any creative work, and SoulCollage is one of them. And just to give you an example of what Darby was talking about in terms of the power of an image, the specificity of an image, is let's say you are talking to somebody and the person says, I'm depressed. I have no feeling of what that person is actually feeling. What does I'm depressed even mean? But if the person tells me, oh, I feel like I'm looking at you from underwater, I immediately have a feeling of what this is. And then I can invite them to get more and more specific. I can say, okay, so how deep are you in the water? Is the water stable? Is it rippling? Is the water clear, or are there debris floating in the water? So I have a much more, I can join the person in their experience in a much more embodied way than if I was just told I'm depressed. And then what's also beautiful about images is images can breathe. They're not stuck, they're not frozen. So the same person can come next week and we're still in this water, and there's still, the person feels like they cannot connect with me because I'm above water, they're below water, but they might see a duck next day and the feet of the duck moving by them. Is the duck feet touching your face? How does that feel? Can you reach up and touch the duck? We can really sort of embody that experience. And that's really what image brings for us. It brings us embodiment. It brings us a real felt experience, which is not frozen. And that's what I keep going back to, that an image is a living, breathing entity. It's not frozen in time. So, okay, so those are some of the things I wanted to get to. And then I like SoulCollage because it is spiritual and soulful. And to me, they're kind of slightly different nuances. One is about ideas, concepts, aspirations, and another is about what am I feeling in my body right now. And it allows both of those. And I love that your spiritual practice can be about creating beauty. And that, to me, is a very, very attractive thing. And the voice of these cards can be very, very wise. So SoulCollage has actually been referred to often as deceptively simple, and that is true, because what SoulCollage really is, the practice is really like, it's for dummies. Which is the great thing. So you can have absolutely no skill as an artist and you can be a great SoulCollage practitioner, because all you need to do, you look through whatever source of images, magazines, flyers. I use a lot of things like Pinterest and NASA website and things like that. Wherever you find images, you choose what you, and you kind of, what Darby was saying, you look and you see what image grabs you. It's always more interesting when an image grabs you instead of you're trying to grab an image. And then you download that image, or you print that image, or you cut out that image, and you can either cut or you can tear. Some people love to tear because it gives that rough edge. And one of my teachers had this beautiful way of saying this, which I just love, so I'm going to repeat it. She said, what you're doing by tearing or cutting an image out of the page is you're freeing it from its background. You're freeing it from its original home, and now you can offer it a home that it wants. So at the very basic level, a SoulCollage card is a 6x8 piece, and this is an important thing. It's a small piece of paper, and that way it's different from vision boards and other kinds of collages because you are really limited in space. So it's, in that sense, it's more maybe like poetry than like prose. You have to limit, you have to make your story kind of fit in this little tiny thing. And the reason for this size is that in the practice of, if you're a SoulCollage practitioner, you'll make many, many cards. In fact, you can make unlimited number of cards. And then the cards become your deck. And you can use that for, just like you do a tarot card reading, you can read your own cards. You can ask your cards questions. So at a very basic, simple level, a SoulCollage card is one foreground image that you've separated out. You've found a background where it wants to live. You stick your background, you stick the foreground on it, your card is done. That's called a quick card. And it can take, in fact, when we do workshops, we often have a timed 15-minute, from the time you go peruse the images to the time you have a card is 15 minutes. So you can do it very quickly. And again, the same teacher who talks about freeing of the image from its background also has this advice. In fact, she's the one who came up with this quick card idea. And her thing was, sometimes our egos get into it too much. So this is nice, this is not nice. You're looking at the next person. Oh, their card is so beautiful, my card is ugly. If you have 15 minutes on the clock, you don't have time for that. So you're just going for where your soul wants to go without sort of second guessing yourself, without editing and all of that. The other important thing, at least in traditional soul collage, is to not have any words on your cards. And unlike, again, like vision board or other types of collaging practices, and the idea is that words can fix an image. If I put the word courage on a card, then the card is forever more about courage. And although my story, my life story might have changed, the card doesn't have the ability to change because I have fixed it with a word. So that's why the idea is to not have any words on the cards. It was developed by this woman called Sina Frost in actually late 80s. And she used the two main concepts in Soul Collage card is one of Jungian active imagination. So you have an image and then you imagine what that image is trying to say. And the other is the Gestalt practice of parts work or role playing. So those are the two main practices that happen in a Soul Collage card. So, and again, we're not going to do a full length introduction to Soul Collage. So I'm just going to say very briefly that if you want to really get into this as a practice and you have many, many cards, then you can start sorting your cards into what are called suits. And there are typically 4 suits in the Soul Collage world. And 2 of these suits are more archetypal, or what they call the vertical direction or the collective story. And then there are 2 suits that are more the horizontal direction or the communal story, the personal story. So the communal story, for example, would have cards that are dedicated to your parents, your friends, your... Sina had a card, for example, of a post, a fence post that she used to walk by every day. And she would watch how that fence post is deteriorating, and she became friends with that post. So she had a card for that. So those would be community cards. And then there's committee cards, people we know. And then on the vertical axis, we have one set of cards, which are called council cards, which are the archetypal cards. These are the large energies, the teacher, the magician, the fool, so these would be considered archetypal or council cards. And then there are companion cards. So companion card is the only class of cards that's limited in number. You have 7 companion cards, and each corresponds to one of the chakras, and they're typically an animal. Most of the times they're an animal. Sometimes they can be a tree or a plant or a rock, but most of the times they're animals. And then there are also 3 cards that are considered cards that are so close to your soul that they don't speak. So there are these 3 cards. We call them the source card, the soul essence card, and the witness card. These are the 3 cards that don't speak. And the understanding is that anything that speaks has a shadow. So no matter how high an archetype it has a shadow by the very fact that it can speak. So it holds something that is not quote unquote positive in it, but the 3 cards that are close to the source have no shadow and hence have no words. So it's a very, very interesting concept, and one can go deeper and deeper and deeper. It can be a field of study for one's entire life, but we're going to stop with the description of the cards now. And if you have further questions, or if you want to make cards, there are many YouTube videos that go over how to make a card. I have some stuff on my website, or you can just email me and I can tell you more about how to make a card. But it's literally extremely simple. You have a 6x8 piece of paper, a heart, like a cardstock kind of paper. You have a background image and you have a foreground image. You stick the 2 together, your card is done. You can have more, but that's sort of the basic Soul Collage card. So for today, what I decided to do was I chose, as I said, 4 cards. These are all from my council suit. So they are universal, they're archetypes. So they don't just belong to me, they belong to all of us. And the invitation, and so David has graciously put the 4 cards, and there are 3 questions that we will address to the cards, to one of the cards. Okay, so back up. So we have 4 cards, and they are going to be repeated multiple times. We're going to run this video for about 12.5 minutes. So you're going to see the card several times. First, choose one of the 4 cards and let your psyche decide rather than your head, if you can. The head will do its thing, and that's what head does. It's okay. We don't judge our head. It keeps us going, keeps us, make sure we cross the road without being run over. It's all good. But let us try to have our souls choose the card. So that's the first thing we do. We choose one of the cards, and then whichever card you have chosen, see who in the card wants to speak. Who is the voice of that card today? Because like there's one where there's this little, there's a young monk who's sweeping the stairs, and there's an umbrella behind him. So it might be the young monk who wants to speak. It may be the sweep that wants to speak. It may be the umbrella that wants to speak. It may be the constellation in the sky. I don't know. For you, who will be the voice? But so first thing is choose one of the cards. Second thing is choose who in the card wants to speak. Once you have decided that, then you're, and this is, the questions are part of the video, so you don't have to write them down because they're going to keep coming up again and again. And the 3, I can see some sighs of relief there. And the 3 questions, the first one is what I would invite you to spend most of the time. And then if you get to the second and third, great. If not, just stay with the first. The first question is something, it's quintessentially a SoulCollage practice, and it is called the I am the one who statement. So whatever is you have chosen as the voice of the card will start by saying, I am one who, or it can say, I am the one who. And sometimes those two could be very different, because if I am the one who has much more authority than I am one who, see which one comes. And if you are done with that, and keep going back, so it can say multiple times, I am one who does this. I am one who feels this. I am one who whatever. Once you feel like it has said all it wants to say, then you can, there are 2 more questions that come up. And the second question is, I am here to tell you today. So why is this card here today for you? Or this energy? Sina called these energies netters, and netter is a word from the Egyptian mythology, and it's very close to the word archetype. It's the energy of the card. So why is this particular energy present for you today? That's the second question. I am here because, or I'm here to tell you. And the third response would be, and this is what I want from you. So sometimes these cards can be very demanding. So it's interesting to hear what they want from us. So I think at this point we can go ahead and start before we do that though, any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask a question if you have any. Yeah, go ahead, Miriam.
I think when you're saying the first question, I am one who, or I am the one who, the fill in the blank of that, is that what the card is telling me about me? The card is saying, Mariam, you are the one who.
No. I am the one
card.
Who, yeah, it's
the
voice of the umbrella or the kid or whoever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, clarifications?
Sushmita, I just wondered if you have like the breakdown that you did of the suits and that type of stuff. Do you have like something?
I can give you that stuff. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Because
there's the student.
I have nothing about the suits and whatnot. So that's the next
and
step.
honestly, I don't really use the suits very much. I have over 200 cards, but I don't find the suits very useful. Some people love the suits. So play with them, but I can definitely give you that information. Yes.
Thank you.
Sushmita, can I add that what you write down to answer those questions does not have to make sense to you either. You might not know why you're writing something down, and that's okay.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Let the voice of the card speak. And if it sounds gibberish, so it is. And just in the same, so after we finish the video, you're going to be invited to share whatever you want to share. And just as a reminder that this is being recorded and it's going to go on YouTube. So decide what you want to share that you don't mind the world hearing. Although I don't know whether the world is sitting there waiting to hear us, but that's the disclaimer. Okay, on that note, unless there are any other questions, we can get the video rolling. Welcome back. Are people mostly done? And thank you, David, once again. That was a gorgeous video. And the fading out at the end, gorgeous. Thank you. So, does somebody feel they want to share? You can read everything you wrote or parts of it. Yeah, Susie, go right ahead.
This was fascinating. It became poetry and informed me so much about myself. So thank you for this opportunity. I'll just read one so other people could have a chance. I started, it was hard to choose which one, so I ended up actually being able to go through all four. But I chose the one with the stone arch and the water. I am the one who is vast. I am one who reflects. I am here to tell you to open to possibilities that are clear and clean. I need you to see, explore, feel, love, enjoy beauty. Step with assurance into your greatness, your vastness, your openness, your beauty.
Mm. Thank you, Susie.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Anyone else? You can unmute yourselves because we're a small enough group.
I'll go. Susie, I also chose the same card. I am the one who, I am the darkness and the light. I am above and below. I am the threshold, here and now. Enter here, enter now. This is what I want from you. I want you to resource God, your strength and agility, and proceed with your full fruited dance. The invitation is to allow yourself to be guided by your soul.
Thank you. That was beautiful, Sivan.
Hey, I can go. Hi, thank you. I just wanted to say how surprised, maybe I'm the doubting person still. I still have that in me. And I've tried to do soul collaging on my own, but being an artist, it's really hard. I'm just saying that because I'm so used to making, art making is a big part of my life. I mean, it's a huge part of my life. And it's hard to shift. So, but today it was really interesting to look at soul cards as not the making of, but actually what soul cards can do. So maybe now I could enter the making of soul cards differently. And so with the doubting, I was also like, what's going on here? But I was called to come today because soul cards keep coming up in my life. So I show up where the signs are given. And I just have to say that I was so surprised how much information was being spoken to me that was not me, right? And that's where I have faith, right? And that's where I'm like, whoa, what is really going on here? So I chose the card. I want to say it's a flower on the staircase with the child and the broom, but I wasn't sure if it was the flower, but there was that red thing. And I'm going to call it a flower because it revealed itself as a flower because I trust flowers. What I thought was also interesting that the flower was actually to be the one to talk about the stairs. Does that make sense? So the flower was talking to me because I trusted the flower, but it was really the stairs that needed to talk to me. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting is that it also was like, it is now time to go look at the card again. Like I was so into just listening and what the information, and it was like, look at the card again. There's more information on the card. And it was like, I was just saying I need to tend my own staircase. And then there's this little person taking care of the staircase. And I was like, whoa, that was so cool. And, there was some other, and the red dress meant something to me too about safety in my future and stuff, but it was really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Jana. Yes.
I can share. I'm not an artist, but I'm similar. And well, similar in some ways to what Jana was saying. I have loved making soul collage cards because I love collaging and I love being creative, and I don't do it for work or anything. But I really haven't utilized the cards that much in terms of like this type of exercise. And it was actually quite interesting. And I'm curious if it's different, like for both of you, when you're looking at someone else's cards or the cards that you make, because it was actually really helpful for me to be like, oh, let me just look at these cards that I didn't create and have like an idea about what they're about, but I could just be like, oh, this is what's hitting me right now. So it was really helpful. And it's funny because when you were talking about the suits or something, I can't remember what it was, I was thinking about the cards that I've made, and I thought about this card, this very plain background card. It's just a yellow background with an owl on it, with a baby owl, that I made a couple of years ago after this experience that I had, a ceremony that involved an owl. And it's kind of triggering for me because there's a lot of stuff around that time in my life. And so I see it and I'm kind of like, ugh. And it's on my mantle. And so the owl shows up and I'm like, damn it, there's an owl again. But it was really, really powerful. And similar to what Jana was saying, it actually talked to me about the monkey and about the snake and was like, these are what these are here for. This is what they represent. And it was really shocking, although not at all, because these types of exercises really speak to me, but it was deeply healing to reconnect with the owl and actually have it reframe itself and be like, this is what I was actually showing up for, and this is what I didn't represent in that ceremony, and this is what I did, and I am here to remind you of that and remind you of who you are, and this is what I want from you. And it was really powerful. So great timing. And I'm so grateful that that owl showed up again. It was really, really powerful. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Beautiful cards, gorgeous. I was like entranced also at the beginning. I was like, oh my God, look at these cards. So cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. Yeah, just to Jono's point, some of the notorious doubters in the Soul Collage community are the artists, because they find it to be too simple and too sort of pedestrian until they start talking to the card. And then you realize that it's not really about making, I mean, the making of the card is 5% of the work. But yeah. And the other really cool thing is that the same card may tell you something totally different, or something else in the card may speak another day. So that's also really cool. Okay. Who else wants to speak?
I'll share mine. I'm Carol, and I had no idea what this was. A friend just invited me to this, and then she couldn't come. So I came anyway. And
Wonderful.
mine are not poetry, but I really, I didn't know what it was. What I found what it to be for me was like a jumping off point for, I guess, getting in touch with myself or the universe or inner thoughts. So I just made one sentence for each card. I was going to just do one card, but then it went kind of quickly. So what pulled me in was the gorilla eyes, the gorilla. And I wrote, I am one who feels deeply. I am here to tell you to have mercy on me. I want you to see me. So I just got these like very simple statements, not beautiful poetry like other people's. But then I also saw, when the next one that I felt like calling me was the one with the arch. And what came to me was, I am the one who shines. It was actually the yellow piece of the arch on like the left side. There was like a spot of sun or yellow. I'm the one who shines. I'm here to tell you to come to the light. I want you to bathe in me. And then the other two, then there was the one with the night sky, and it was like kind of the middle of it where the stars were kind of bluish. I am the one who is an aura of mystery. I'm here to tell you it will be okay. I want you to be comforted. And then the last one was like the gibberish one that you mentioned. It was the last card. It was the green woman on the motorcycle, or the moped. And what I got is, I am the one who is caked. So her face makeup was like shouting out at me. I'm here to tell you to watch, and what I need from you is to protect.
Wow. Those are openings into whole worlds there, Carol. We could do like
Thanks very much.
an hour with just those 3 responses.
It was really interesting, this exercise. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Sounded like poetry to me.
Well, you know, for all of you artists who are skeptics, I'm actually a drama therapist, and I use a lot of projection. And we would call these cards dramatic projection. And I work with people with memory impairment, and it's really interesting what they see in art or in photographs or in objects. But so I do this for others. So coming to this was actually, for me, a form of self-care. So I did enjoy it, but similar to Carol, I just wrote a sentence. Recently, for the past few months, I've had very vivid dreams. But of course, when you wake in the day, you forget about your dreams and they evaporate. But I was attracted to the first one with the arch, and the first thing that came to my head, and I wasn't even thinking about dreams, was, I'm the one who speaks to you in dreams. And I am here to tell you, you have more paths to cross. Because in each of the images, I saw there was a little bridge, there were stones to go across, swimming to, so there were still so many paths to go. But the last piece, the last answer was very intriguing to me. It just came up spontaneously. And this is what I need from you. Hand over your fear to me. And that surprised me because it was just totally spontaneous. So it was and has been a self-care exercise, and I truly appreciate it, and I appreciate sharing it with all of you as well, sharing the experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. That's powerful. And may that be a blessing for all of us to hand over our fears, because we all carry so much of it. Thank you.
Well, I'm turning 45 in 2 days. Yes, thank you. I'll take whatever you got for it. And my birthday is always a time to it's like a personal new year to reflect on how I'm doing and how it's going and what needs tinkering. And so I came tonight because I didn't know what it would be exactly, but I knew that it would be spiritual listening, reflecting, digging. And that felt useful for this birthday weekend I'm moving into. And when I saw the images right away, I was like, it's got to be the child on the stairs. You know, and I was like, well, just calm down. Just let the image choose you. But I couldn't shake it. I just kept being like, when's it going to come back?
Mm.
And I ended up, I forgot what you asked us, like who's speaking in the card. Sometimes I'm very literal. I was like, I guess the child, the broom, the umbrella or flower, but it really was like the stars, the cosmos. And I wrote so much, and I didn't get all the way through, but I got to, I am the one who moves the universe, is ever changing, swirls chaotically. I am the one who makes stars out of invisible elements. I am the one who's always there, whether you see me or not. I am the one who sparkles in the darkness. I am the one who shelters the child. And I'm here today to tell you, you do not know all there is to know. The stairs must be swept. Remember, you are on the threshold of what is seen and unseen. And what I want from you is to be patient, stay close to your dreams, don't resign yourself. That's as far as I got. But it really went a lot deeper than I was expecting. And it felt really helpful and like an opening. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. Mm-hmm. And I know, Laurie, you've been unmuted for a while. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. I love SoulCollage. I've been collaging for probably 7 or 8 years, and I use it weekly with recovering heroin addicts. And it's been a really beautiful healing tool. And like many of you, I loved the sweeper. So I have to say how beautiful the cards are. And it's always touching to me how you can see what somebody else created and feel it. So I am one who sweeps. I have swept many stairs. I'm a hard worker, a silent helper. I'm here to tell you that sweeping is important. I've cleared away much, and I've carefully left what belongs. I want you to always remember, you sweep in the light.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I see we're at 7:59. Anyone else? Can take a couple extra minutes.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Because I'm still like, I want to make them. So I'm still like grappling with that. And so I want to ask in the way that I trust the cards will speak to me. And this whole idea of like, they were beautiful cards, right? But I don't want to make beautiful cards. I don't want to make anything that unless it just comes, right? In the same way that in some ways I want to say that it doesn't really matter what's on the cards. What needs to be spoken will be spoken. And so I'm asking that as a question because I feel like I need to give myself that permission. Does that make sense? To make cards that aren't beautiful maybe, or aren't specific, or in the same way it will just come, right? Like the message will come no matter what the card is. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I second that.
I have a question also. Is our experience pretty typical? Because I was shocked at what just poured out of me effortlessly.
Yeah, images have a way of going under the radar. That's the best I can say. It's like because we have this logical mind, this kind of armoring, and words can get just reflected off those. So images have a way of kind of going under, diving under that armor. So yeah, I mean, this is not atypical at all. And if you make the cards yourself, then of course there is more of you in the card. But on the other hand, I specifically chose cards that felt like they were large enough energies that they don't just belong to me, because it's not my mother or my aunt. But maybe there would be stuff there too. One of them is my birthland, so that's a little bit specific. But Mark, did
They
you
were
have?
so poignant. The cards were so poignant. They really touched my soul.
Mark, did you want to say something? You were unmuted.
Yeah, I'll put something there. This is the first time I've come to this group, and I wasn't really knowing what to expect, so it was very enjoyable. I'm artistic as well, so I was struggling how to relate to it, but the cards were very beautiful. The card that struck me was the one with the owl, also, like Devin, and the owl. What I wrote down, the owl embraces the snake, embracing, snuggling, loving, a gentle caress. I am here to tell you, soft and gently, be this to yourself. Look at the areas with tenderness that need loving. And then what I need, the wing stroking the face.
Ah.
That's my thought.
Ah. I totally feel it. Thank you. It's 8:02. Yes.
Sorry. Just it seemed when I asked about like if it's a different experience when you're looking at someone else's cards, a lot of people were nodding pretty emphatically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wondered, are there like groups of people that do this and like share cards, and then you do writing practices with like how, because I really enjoyed having it be someone else's card. So are there like collective practice groups for this?
Okay, so again, we can't delve into the details.
Okay.
There are purists in the SoulCollage world who claim that you cannot read somebody else's card. Your card is for you and that's it. So they will not share cards and so forth. There are others who say, and I think this is probably a more valid thing, is you cannot comment on what somebody else's card means for them, which I think is a valid thing. But it's again like the dream projections that we do. It's the same idea that it is what you wrote, for example, for that card may be very different from what I was feeling when I made it. That doesn't matter. So, but there are groups of people who either make cards together or they do readings together, but typically people read from their own cards. And often the readings are done with a question in mind. Like, for example, just to take Miriam's example, the fact that she's turning 45 in 3 days. So what does this next half century have in store for me? And if she has, let's say she has 100 cards and they belong to the different suits, she can choose one card from each suit if she chooses. So you have different kinds of voices, or she can just choose 4 cards. And the 4-card reading is very typical because that gives you more perspectives to a question, because how a priest card would speak would be very different from how a jester would speak, would be very different from how a rock would speak. So it's nice to hear answers to a question from multiple perspectives. And but there are certainly groups that read cards together.
Cool. Thank you so much.
So do we want to go ahead and close, Sushmita?
I think so.
Okay. So let me go ahead and just let you all know that we have started a One Spirit Dream Group. So if you would like to delve into the images that show up in our nighttime dreams in a communal setting with both Sushmita and I, it is the third Sunday of every month from 9 o'clock to 10:30. So that means it's this coming Sunday, and all are invited. And we divide up the time between Sushmita works with somebody one-on-one for about half the time, and then we do a group dream work process about half the time. So we'd love to have you. And so to close us out, if we could all please just think of one word or phrase that you would like to carry forth. I know we'll carry forth a lot more than one word or phrase from this time, but if there's just one word or phrase that really captures for you the energy that you want to take with you from this time, let's take a moment and just ask ourselves what that would be. And if you would like to share it, I think you can just go ahead and unmute yourself and share it into our space, and we'll just take a moment to do that. Yes, Susie.
A poignant remembering.
Peaceful.
Go ahead. Yes, just go ahead and speak. You're free to speak it out.
Assuredness.
Possible.
Creative healing.
Trust.
Ease.
Gentleness.
Full-fruited dance.
Connection.
Courage.
Gratitude for me.
Freshness.
Mm-hmm. On that note, everybody, maybe we'll see some of you on Sunday, this Sunday, 9 o'clock Eastern time for the Dream Group. And be well. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Mariam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was amazing.